Yeah, I think I might grow my beard out. I've only grown goatees in the past. I think I'm going to go full beard. It's gotten to the white salt and pepper phase. Yeah, I kind of dig it. Show my age. But anyway, I actually wrote down some notes of what I wanted to go over about Dragonslayer. I'm seeing more in my feed on the fake book, Project Lifelog, and YouTube. For a while there, I thought it was just me ranting into the void, but I guess it's Roleplay Pathway Plus and Black Belt Gaming as well, and a few others. Are mainly just the other stuff I see are just the one-shot review, not an in-depth, not I'm playing this game, this is why I like it, and some interviews. That's it. I'm sure there's more. You know how the algorithm is. It's retarded. And the second I read this and got my hands on it, the first words out of my mouth were, the artwork's effing amazing. Getting back to real art and stuff. And I don't have a qualm against AI art. I think some genres really need it, and it gives it that futuristic look. So all my science fiction stuff's going to have AI art. But when I think fantasy, tabletop, role-playing, I think black and white line art. Period. Period. And when I see nothing but black and white art, I love it. I do like it. And the fact that we get new black and white line art, and a lot of it, I respect. I respect that, and I like it. It's a personal preference, and I really dive into it. It is black on white pages, as opposed to this other trend out there to make the page as much ink and toner as possible, thereby making it unprintable at your table for handouts, unless you have a laser printer and a couple extra toner laying around. I'll pass. I use binders. I know a big complaint about Dragonslayer early on was it's an $80 book. I mean, the dude trademarked the game. That's not cheap. The dude bought actual art, which seems to be a very high priority to a lot of people on the Twitterverse. No AI, pay real artists. That book's too expensive. Basic misunderstanding of how commerce and economics works, but okay. Make it more expensive. Make it cheaper. Make it more expensive production cost, but make it more cheaper. Oh, man, the world's gotten dumb. But I'm cool with it. Plus, like I said, I use 3 binders. I'm going to print out what I want and omit what I don't want to make a streamlined table copy anyway. Plus all those handouts I hand out. Each folder at my table games, I do VTTs mainly, but the table games, you're going to be handed a pocket folder with a copy of your character sheet and a copy of your character sheet that you can fill in, and a copy of your character class, and probably the equipment right there on your table. So you don't have to pass the book around and eat up time. It's all right there at your fingertips. And if you're playing a spellcaster, I will make printouts for the spells that are in your book. That way you don't have to flip through the book. It's right there. I've done that for a long time. These are just common sense things for me. And I've said this before, ad nauseum, I'd probably say, it'll miss a few things that I like, but I'm okay with it. And it puts things in that mirror or rhyme with how I've been running my table for over a decade now. Eerily creepy. So I dig it. I dig it. The one thing that a lot of people probably don't notice about it is how it has simplified encumbrance. And I forgot what page, but it says reasonable assumptions about equipment, right? And players are rarely reasonable. When they say we take all the furniture out of the room, they don't They don't understand that furniture is heavy and bulky. Mass seems to not make any sense. It has X weight. I can carry X weight, so I pack it on my back like a weird pack mule and walk out the door with the 3 tables and chairs. I mean, you'll get that player, but it's not that heavy. Yeah, it's cumbersome. So we have to be reasonable and logical. It comes down to your armor and how many coinies you can carry to get out of the dungeon. So your basic equipment within reason, right? So now you're making a ruling call on a case-by-case situation with your players. Your inventory slot bag is not like Skyrim or WoW, and you have a 20-slot backpack, therefore I put 20 items in it. And those 20 items are 20 chests. No, we've got to be reasonable about this. And it does nudge you from hiring hirelings to carry stuff. But your movement's based on your armor. And if you're a tall race, it starts at 40 feet around and works its way to 10. 10 meaning you're encumbered. No armor and treasure, 300 coins. A backpack holds 300 coins. A large sack holds 300 coins. And a small sack holds 100 coins. This is a drastic change from 300 coins in a small sack, 600 coins in a large sack, up to 1,500 coins in a backpack. And let's also going to do the math on it in AD&D. Okay, the math is out there in Dragon Magazine. How many coins I can get in a pack based on its size, ignoring actual weight. And I remember coin purses holding 50 to 100 coins apiece. So a small sack equivalent for this game is almost equivalent to a bulging coin purse in AD&D, honestly. 100 coins doesn't seem all that much, but a small sack shouldn't be much bigger than, say, a coin pouch. When you really think about a small sack, we're talking about a leather or burlap version of something you get handed at CVS, right? So those small sacks that we're bringing home in plastic of a superior, medium, canvas, leather, whatever, is a small sack. Now imagine that with 100 gold coins in it. It's not that big. It does get heavy fast, though, right? Well, that's only 10 pounds. Well, we're not actually arguing about the weight of each coin. We're saying each coin. So that way you can have the larger fantasy coins as opposed to the smaller pieces of 8, right? You're right. 100 pieces of 8 doesn't appear to be that big. They are heavy, if you've ever handled one, right? But we picture a fantasy size 50-cent piece or a quarter. I started at the size of a quarter and worked my way up to the size of a 50-cent piece because someone can visualize it. Someone can pick that up in their hand at the table, right? They can pick that up in their hand and visualize 100 of those, a chest of those, right? So 100 in a small sack starts to make more sense. That's like the money bag from the Cops and Robbers videos with the cereals. You get a picture. And the large sack would be 3 times that size. Now, people, that's unrealistic. All right? That sounds like someone's never had to carry a 50-pound feed bag. All right? They're not heavy. So full ruck, 75 pounds of gear for combat, body armor, and here's a 50-pound fucking sack. Suddenly, walking a few miles with that seems a little unreasonable. Pragmatic, practical, logical application of carrying capacities. I like that. It also opens up for more discussion at the table and rulings, right? You can't take everything, guys. You can't. And at this system, technically you're only carrying 300 coins per person to get out of the dungeon. And if you're fully armored, heavy armor and treasure, 100 coins, you move 10 feet around. It's 100 feet a turn, guys. 100 feet a turn, trying to get out of the dungeon. That means every 100 feet, you're making a reaction. You're making a monster, wonder monster roll. The shorts start at 20 feet around. No armor and treasure, 300. Light, medium, 20. Light, medium, and treasure, 20. Heavy armor, 20. Heavy armor and treasure, 10. They seem to me the most efficient for carrying stuff and getting out. their speed not being affected, but it's always going to be 20. You only have two options to get down to 20 feet and less with a tall, and that is heavy armor, 20 feet, heavy armor and treasure, 100 coins, 10 feet around. Light or medium with treasure, 200 coins, 30 feet. Simplified. I may have to actually start saying 8 items in your backpack for regular gear and make people think about it. Because I do have equipment hoes who want to just carry a ton of shit. But they're also practical and have the personal experience that we use pack animals. Not so much hirelings, because hirelings die faster than a donkey. And there's that lack of trust. I had a DM back in the day. You couldn't trust anybody you hired, ever. The other subtle difference, and players love the simplified encumbrance. Let's be honest, most people hand wave it, or you have a system that's slot based, which becomes a whole accounting sub game, right? You're trying to game the sub game of logistics, and that just eats up some time and becomes non-fun after a while. This simplifies it. I like that. The reduced amount of treasure is more of a get in, get out, and encourages the use of a brine cache. And what that is, as a player, I've run into so much agony trying to get people to bury treasure or hide it in a dungeon. They just won't do it. Everything must be pried off the ground. Every ring pried off. Every mode, every little tiny thing needs to be dragged out. I'm like, no, we're not carrying that shit. Let's use that secret room we found that no one's ever found before us, and dust it and leave the copper and silver. Actually, let's leave all our food. If we're leaving right now, let's leave all our extra food in here. People just fight you on it, dude. It's crazy. Now, I don't get to play that much anymore, so I don't have to argue with people as much. So, yeah, whatever. The other thing, which is a rule I've been using for a while, single spell memorization. Like, yet again, this is not a fucking video game. This is a tabletop fantasy role-playing game. And if you're embracing fantasy and magic, then it's one spell per slot, and once it's gone, it's released from your brain. You can't double mem. And since it allows you to make scrolls at first level as a spellcaster, as soon as you get treasure, you can expand that spell repertoire, third level or less, right? Resource management. And since it has channeling in it, your cleric can channel first level spell to get more cure light wounds. And the cures are made more powerful in the game. They're they're statistically better healing spells. D8 plus your level, no cap. Did I just use a Gen Z phrase or something? I'm confused. No cap as in it keeps going up. Remember, it was capped at 5 in 3.5. D8 plus 5. No, D8 plus level. Done. So that Cure Light Wounds is powerful. That Cure Moderate Wounds, 2D8 plus level. More powerful. And then you can always channel those first level spells in the healing. Which means your Cleric is going to have more versatile spell access at first level. And can always just burn them out if we don't need them to use a channeling spell. This reinforces that this is made for dungeon crawling. Okay, this system is made for dungeon crawling because the author makes mega dungeons. So the setting and the world are being constructed, and then the game system to work into it. All right. So people say setting. They're there. Each of these regions are culturally different, and they provide a different cultural and dungeon exploration style, and this system is made to mesh into those four that are already there, waiting for a combined world book coming out shortly that will do that whole region, which is all based on, of all things, the old wilderness exploration map. Maybe we'll get beyond that. I think we're out of spots, and therefore we'll have to go further out. And then that will be the concise world. But like with everything in these games we play, I encourage you to make your own damn worlds, right? I see a lot of people merging these, doing two elements together, and I love it. Dolanwood plus barrel mounds. Creep factor is high on that. Weird folklore is high on that, and people are going to love it. I'm not a fan of Dolanwood, but old Dolanwood's way more appealing the modern Disney wood. I'll give you guys that. I could make a creepy wood version of Dolan wood, and that would work great with the barrel maze. I might do that. As I'm listening to Halloween music all the time. So I'll do that for next Halloween. I've already got a little an extra side project. Shit, I got so many side projects. It drops reaction rolls to force you to roleplay more. I like reaction rolls, so I'm still using my cascading. I think it's Mulvey Holmes. I don't remember which one it is, but it's the one that cascades. So you have your first reaction roll, and then if you act based on actions, there's a sub table for that. There's no reaction roll in Dragonslayer. There's just not. So I was like, ooh. Oh, I dropped my notes. Time, rest, accountability. It has basic fatigue rules. So a lot of us who've played BX over the years, we know that 5 turns and take a turn rest. And the turn tick. We're assuming every major action takes a turn. So as one person pulls their stuff out of their backpack, sets up and inspects the area, that takes 10 minutes while the others are taking guard, being on guard, or doing something else that takes a little bit of time, right? Like searching a wall while Joe Bob is checking the door for traps. And then after that, Joe Bob wants to listen behind the door. That's going to take a turn while everybody is encouraged to be quiet, and he pulls out a cup or he listens. It's not just leaning your ear right there. It is a process. I will use the hear noise as a passive ability on occasion when there is something happening a little further away. There's a few things that are of the random nature that have been dropped, like encounter distance is not in here. Encounter distance is not here. I use it outdoors only now. So outdoors I use the encounter distance because in a dungeon or a wandering monster, I do wandering monster encounter distance because the wandering monster may not be around the corner. It may be X amount of feet. I look at the map, and then that gives me a determination of what direction they're coming for, or if they just hear the party. Because your wandering monster may not actually engage your party. Your wandering monster may simply hear your party and go inform others. So if I row 100 feet away, and you just came down a 100-foot hallway, and you're inspecting a door, and I rolled a wandering monster, and I rode 100 feet. Well, there's a 100-foot long corridor. He looks down that darkened 100-foot corridor and sees the light and torch 100 feet away, and they're in the darkness. So unless someone's looking back, they may see the glimmer of their dark vision eyes way away, or they'll see nothing. They see them, and then they have to determine if that little bugger is going to attack, i.e. non-intelligent, it might very well, and you hear it coming down the hall, or it goes, oh, adventurers, and goes off and tells Chieftain. The world moves despite what your characters are doing. And if you're seen by the denizens, they don't necessarily run to attack you. Especially if they're horribly outnumbered. A pack of wolves that you outnumber 2-1 will not attack you. Just rarely. They have to be forced to starvation to do something that crazy, right? And then they'll attack one, drag it off, hoping the rest of your pack goes on. Right? That's the nature of nature, isn't it? Strong survive, the weak get cooled off. So everything's 10 minutes. The fatigue rule is very basic. It's -1. And they use the term short rest, long rest, which I hate those terms because it just makes me think of the worst version of fantasy gaming ever. But, they are. An evening rest. And it says no armor. You can't be wearing your armor for 6 to 8 hours to get your full rest. I have adventuring parties who get up and put their armor on for their 1 or 2 hour watch. Going by these rules, you don't get anything back. Someone's going to have to be sleeping, or your guard's going to have to be not wearing armor. I don't know if I agree with that 100%. I'll work with it within reason, because I've had to pull guard duty, but we're not. And then go back and do regular stuff in the morning. So we know we can do it. We are tired. Does that mean we have a -1 for this adventure the next day? We don't have a super safe place to rest. we have to be reasonable, logical about it, and think about it. If you're casting wizards or clerics, you need 8 hours uninterrupted to get your spells back. That means if there's a wandering monster encounter in the middle of the night and you get up, boom, no spells for you tomorrow. You out of luck. The other thing that I like about this is the Bind Wounds, which I'm not a huge fan of. I used a version of Bind Wounds in Labyrinth Lord to where they tracked how many uses in a healing kit before they had to replace it. It turned into a gold sink, but it also ended up being a crutch, which I didn't like. So you can bind wounds at the end of every combat, which you have to rest a turn at the end of every combat, BX style. It doesn't say that in this system. I might house rule it later, I'm not 100% sure, but binding wounds would be that turn, and that's another wandering monster chart if you're going every turn, or I like the every 2 turns, depending on the size of your dungeon. So bind wounds, you get D3 hit points back. This creates a situation where you can go longer in the dungeon before going out, but you're trying to do an exploration in one session and then get out using this particular system. That's what it encourages. Beyond that, there's a bunch of little things that I like that I'm probably forgetting. Most of them are just suggestions on how to play the game that people have forgotten because of the video game age. They've just forgotten how to play old school games. The cure spell. I haven't read each spell. I need to read each spell and compare it versus the others to see what's actually changed. He's changed all the names, probably for licensing reasons. Let's be honest, a few months ago, WotC basically put everybody on notice that they're going to be litigious like late 80s, early 90s TSR did. So, you know, to be safe, just cover your butt. What you got to do today. That's what you got to do in this modern age. I'm trying to remember what else that made the game jump at me. It just flows. The order of action's a little different than how I've been running games for a while. And I like it. My players love it. It flows well. So that flow has changed how I view the combat round a little bit. It goes back to the 10-second combat round. It doesn't say it specifically, kind of implies it. I still like 10 rounds as a turn, so 10 minutes is a turn. Each turn's a tick, so we're adjudicating stuff by turn actions. I like that. It's working procedurally. And there were a few other things that I liked about the system, but I take Lasix and I go to the bathroom. So I'm going to upload this. Kick around some ideas before I start a big smoke today. Maybe make another video or two. But yeah, subtle differences. Subtle stuff. The monster Thacos aren't in the descriptions, which I thought that was weird. But it comes down, they just have basic, the fighter progression for Thaco. Or this convoluted method for figuring it up, which I did not like and will not use it. So the base attack bonus, max of +8, is going to apply to the critters as well. Might make for some more a leveling out for the combat, I think. But yeah. Was there anything else I forgot? I don't know. I might make an addendum to this, like a part 2 or something. I don't know. Later.